Good evening and welcome to the fourth installment of Northstar's 25-26 Family Education Nights. Tonight we will be focused on post-secondary options for our students with disabilities. This is a event sponsored by Northstar Career Center. Northstar Career Center is dedicated to empowering teens and young adults with disabilities as they prepare for the workforce by sponsoring independence, confidence, and self-advocacy. Our 5 vocational areas, including business, technology, materials handling, construction, hospitality, and veterinary assisting, prepare skilled employees for targeted growth sectors of Central Virginia's labor market. My name is Holly Peel, and I serve as Northstar Career Center's director. Joining us also is Russ Helm, who serves on our Career Center admin team as the IEP/IAP liaison. We're very excited tonight to be joined by Kelly Magee. Kelly Magee has served as the program supervisor at Courage to Succeed for 12 years. It's a program of Shine Forth. Some of you may know Shine Forth by its former name, United Methodist Family Services, or perhaps by its affiliated school, Charterhouse. Courage to Succeed is a year-round, holistic college and transition support program for young adults with autism and other neurological differences. Kelly, thank you so much for being here. It's your 12th presentation with us. So you have been a valuable resource for Northstar families for quite some time, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you joining us, and I'm looking forward to your presentation. It is always illuminating.
Thank you, Holly, and we really appreciate our relationship with Northstar. Thank you for the introduction, and tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about our Courage to Succeed program, and then we're going to talk about college and the benefits of college and some strategies in this transition to college. So as Holly mentioned, Courage to Succeed, we're a college support and transition program for students with neurological differences. We offer individualized supports in 4 main areas. So these include academics, psychosocial, independent living, and career and job supports. I'm going to go through each of these areas to tell you a little bit more about each of these supports that we offer. So for our academic supports, when I say that we are a college support and transition program, our college supports are in the Richmond area currently. So at Reynolds and Brightmore Point Community colleges. And then we've had a couple of students that have received their associate's degree at Reynolds that are at VCU. And we have a student that is currently at University of Richmond as well after receiving their associate's degree. So some supports that we offer, I don't work directly for the colleges, but I work closely with the colleges. So I can help with course advising and registration. So making sure that because I've been with the program so long, I know the professors and the college staff pretty well. So I can recommend certain professors that work well with our students. And if I don't know, then I can reach out to their college staff, advising, or to their accommodations office and see what their recommendations are to work well with our students. Speaking of accommodations, we do have a very good relationship with each of the offices, the disability services offices on each of the college campuses. They're called something different on each. So I'm kind of toggling between accommodations and disability services. But we make sure we can walk the students through the whole process. So even before they start the fall semester or the spring semester, where they start, we get them connected with that disability services office. Then we help them first, get it connected with them, then help them with the process. If needed, we can go with them to the intake meetings. After that, after the accommodations are put in place, each semester, it's the student's responsibility to request these accommodations so we can help them go through and their portals and request them each semester. And then they have to send them to their professors. So it's a long process if you don't know what you're doing or just get a little overwhelmed with it. It can be kind of tedious. So we can help with that support as well. The students also meet with me weekly to do some academic planning. So 30 minutes to an hour each week, the students meet with me individually, and we go through their Canvas account, which is their online portal for their college courses. And we look at their college work that they have for the week and plan out how they can tackle these assignments throughout the week. We also look further ahead. So maybe they have larger assignments and plan how we can break it down into smaller ones so they're more manageable. We also have ongoing contact with the college instructors. So at the beginning of each semester, the students send out what we call our professor advocacy letters, and they send them to each of their professors for each of their classes. And then this letter, it tells the professor about the student's involvement with the Courage to Succeed program. It gives myself and my colleague Emma's contact information and encourages the professors to reach out at any time. And also any communication that they have with the student to make sure that we're CC'd on those emails. We can also be a part of meetings with the students. So if they need to meet with the professors one-on-one, we can go with the students to those meetings just to serve as an extra set of ears and help navigate those conversations. Another support that we offer is tutoring. So not only do the students have access to tutoring through their tuition that they pay at the college, through our wonderful volunteers at Shine Forth, we have tutors that we can match with the students based on their subject that's needed. We have designated study hall times on our campus on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have 2 hours that we have blocked off for the students to have designated study hall times. We also focus on organizational study skills training with the students. Another piece of our program is independent living supports. So we work with the student on self-advocacy skills. So in real time, we practice these self-advocacy skills, if they're doing these conversations with professors, being a part of those conversations, and then kind of weaning off those conversations to encourage the students to advocate for what it is that works best for them. We also offer an independent living skills group once a week, and this is on our the Shine Forth campus once a week. And we offer career exploration and planning. So this kind of sets us up for our summer programming. During the summer, we offer internships and part-time job supports. And I'll talk about that in just a little bit too. Part of our supports are psychosocial supports, and we have an hour-long social skills group weekly. This is led by our LCSW therapist for the program, Emma, and she helps tackle topics that are kind of real for college students. So we're not just talking about, having a conversation with anybody. It's real life ones. So workplace social skills, navigating tough conversations with your employer, just things like that would be very helpful to our students. We also have an hour-long peer support group weekly. This is a peer-led group where the students talk about things that are going on in their life. And they support one another and give advice or, say, hey, I went through something similar. This is how I handled it. Or, I'm just having a really tough time right now and I could appreciate some support. And so it's a really fun or great group for our students. The students also meet with Emma, our therapist for the program, once a week for 30 minutes to an hour based on their need. And they can utilize it as a counseling session or just if they have some things going on that they want to work on. So they can use that time for like goal setting as well. Most of the students use it as a counseling session just because this age is tough and navigating college can be tough at times too. We also have a mindfulness group bi-weekly. So Emma leads this every other week. And this is just mindfulness techniques that students can use when things are going, get overwhelming. So when people think of mindfulness, you often think of just like yoga and things like that, but we're exploring what works best for them. So this could be just going for a mindful walk or listening to music that works for them, but exploring various mindfulness techniques that work individually for each student. We also have healthy relationship group once a week. So this is navigating any relationship in your life. So it could be sibling relationships, parental relationships, relationship with your professors, but any relationship that you encounter and how to navigate those relationships. We also have a current events group that we facilitate bi-weekly. So this is a fun group. We pull articles, non-controversial articles for the students to discuss and find interesting, and just, a lot of things around science and technology and just what's going on in the world around us. It's a fun group to talk about. And then we also support students if they want to get involved in clubs and activities on campus. If they're interested in a certain club but they're a little anxious about going by themselves, we can help them get connected with the right people and even go with them their first time. For our summer programming, we just had our second year of it last summer, which we are doing a summer camp series. And this is a really fun camp series that we offer actually to the community for anyone that's 17 and older. So we actually have had some students this past summer that will be joining us next fall because they were still in high school. But it's one topic per week. 1 week is independent living skills, 1 week is workplace readiness, 1 week is high school to college transition, and the last week is on social activities. And it's Monday through Thursday, and you can attend as many of those weeks as you'd like. You can do 1, 2, 3, or 4, whatever you'd prefer. And it is $425 a week. But it's a fun camp series, and the students really enjoy it. And it's a great interactive. We do a lot of hands-on real world experience things, especially with like, for example, our independent living skills week, we worked with a nonprofit Fit for Kids, and we did cooking lessons with them. We did a lot of job site visits, going to various job sites to kind of learn and find employment skills and things like that. So it's a lot of fun, and I encourage you to look into it if that's something you're interested in. Another piece of our summer program is our internship program, and it is for our current Courage to Succeed students. So if they've been enrolled in the program already, then they can participate in this. We provide job coaching. We also meet with the student, the supervisor, and ourselves, the job coach, weekly to check in to see how things are going. They set goals for themselves and watch their progress throughout the summer. They're building workplace readiness skills. So maybe it's some place that they're really interested in getting a job, or maybe it's someplace they're at a place that they've never had a job before, but they're building these workplace readiness skills. On the screen here, I have some very small example of opportunities that we've had in the past. A really fun one that one of our students had was working at interning at Bev's Homemade Ice Cream in Carytown this past summer, and they did the marketing for them and kept up with the social media pages, and it was a really cool experience. But I have one for all artists. This was a graphic design internship. One of our students was interested in environmental science, and they worked in the Maymont Nature Center. A computer, I think it was a web page design, was for Making a Difference for You, Inc. I had a student intern for VDOT, and they were doing urban and regional planning. I had this still as UMFS, Shineforth campus, but various locations on the Shineforth campus. So because we're a large organization, we have lots of opportunities in finance, marketing, lots of different opportunities. So we've had a lot of students in those areas too. Before I go into the why college, I kind of left this out and I apologize. I want to give you the structure of our program. So I mentioned that we support students academically. So we encourage students to take classes Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Emma and myself are on the college campus during these days for students to know where we are and kind of have a contact on campus. We don't go to class with them, but we're there for social and academic supports. So all of the things that we talked about, we're kind of their go-to person if anything comes up, or for them just to check in with throughout the day. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're at our Shineforth campus, and this is at the corner of Broad and Hamilton. And we are doing our groups that I mentioned. So independent living, social skills, mindfulness, healthy relationships, and then alternating between mindfulness and current events. And we have those designated study hall times as well. Okay, now going ahead on my slide on why college. So let's take a look at the benefits of college and what to be on the lookout for if this is something that your student is interested in. So some benefits of college. builds independence. College is very different than high school. There's a lot of hands-on and interaction with the teachers in high school. They, are very small classrooms. You have somebody there to kind of check in a lot. In college, whether you're taking a class asynchronously online, or you meet with your professor or go to the classroom a couple of times a week, they're not going to have their eyes on you all the time. So it's going to build some independence that you're going to have to set your schedule and do things on your own a lot of times. Another benefit is you're going to learn more about who you are. So you're taking classes. You learn that you like some topics. You learn that this might not be one for you. So learning more about yourself and interacting with others too, which interacting with others, creating opportunities to socialize. You're with different people that have different interests. In high school, you have to go to high school. It's a requirement. In college, people are there because they want to be there. They want to expand their learning in certain areas. So you're going to find people that have the same interests as you, because you might be taking classes and be with the same kind of cohort of people throughout because you're taking similar classes. So these are great opportunities to socialize with like-minded people. With benefits, there could be potential challenges. So I said it builds independence, but maybe you're not used to this independence. In high school, you were given a schedule. You have to be there from 8 to 3 every day, and you have these certain classes. But in college, you pick your schedule, and you have to kind of remind yourself to get to class and take these breaks and study during these certain times. So it might not be something that the student is used to. And with that is the lack of structure. We try to build that structure with our program, with Emma and myself being on campus, telling you to go to class during this time, check in with us during this time, and you can study. Also on our Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have those structured study hall times to kind of, for accountability, but also keeping that structure for many of our students. Another potential challenge is there is probably going to be more intense coursework. College, it's college level for a reason. So it's not, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. There's going to be more coursework. There's going to be more assignments, longer papers. Another one is navigating new social situations. While it might be exciting for many people to be around people that are like-minded and taking similar classes, it can be intimidating for others that lack in the social skills area, or just be intimidated in a new environment. So with those challenges, let's talk about some strategies to make it a smoother and more successful transition. So time management. The good thing about college is you make your own schedule. So if you establish a daily schedule for yourself, this is very helpful. I take history class Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 to 9:50. After that, I'm going to take a little bit of a break. And then I'm going to go to my next class. And just having an established daily schedule is very helpful. For your schoolwork, prioritizing your most important tasks first, and utilizing your supports, being proactive with those. So programs like Courage to Succeed, also tutoring services, those are great supports that are in place. Also, the professor is there because they want to be there and to help you. So we tell our students all the time, ask for help. 9 out of 10 times when a student reaches out to a professor, whether we see them in person or get an email, it is a very positive response. And the professors are usually excited to help. They enjoy their jobs, and that's why they're there. So use them. Back to the important tasks. In college, some assignments are worth more points than others. So prioritizing, studying for that test that's going to be worth 100 points over the discussion board post that's worth 5. Yes, you still need to do the discussion post if possible, but really studying for that test so that you know that you're going to do well. Also prioritizing upcoming deadlines. If I have a test tomorrow, I'm going to want to study for that over the paper that's due in 2 weeks. Great to work on that paper, but focusing on the things that are due sooner. me see if there's anything else I have on this. Being proactive with your supports. Don't wait until there is a problem to meet with a tutor, your professor, or an advisor. As soon as you realize you might be struggling, or if you know math's not your subject, get a tutor in math. Doing these things first or reaching out to your professor first is always helpful, and they see that you're really trying and want to help you along the way. Let's see. And I mentioned tutoring disability services office. Make sure you're using your accommodations. And if you feel like they're not being implemented, obviously go back to the disability services office and let them know. Or if you're encouraged to succeed, let us know as well. Speaking of accommodations, so applying for accommodations, once you've gotten into the college, so Reynolds or Brightpoint for the local colleges, you should connect with the Office of Student Accommodations at Reynolds or the Student Accessibility Service at Brightpoint. You should do this at least 3 weeks prior to the semester. The sooner the better, because they're going to have an uptick of people applying for accommodations. Once you do that, reach out to them. They're going to have a form to fill out for request for service. Then they will reach back out to you to schedule an intake meeting. And you'll do the intake meeting. You'll talk about what worked best for you in high school. So this could be with your 504 or your IEP. They may not be able to match exactly what worked for you in high school. They'll have pretty equivalent, but not all the accommodations there, but they'll do their best to accommodate you on that manner. And then they'll have a form that will be sent out every semester to your professors. After you've done this process, you're a returning student and you don't need to reapply, but you will need to request your accommodations every semester. As I mentioned earlier, if you're encouraged to succeed, we do this as a group every semester so that no one gets left behind and forgetting to do this. So that is a plus. It's really important to communicate with your professors, as I mentioned earlier, when you're doing this using professional communication. This is part of our social skills that we do in our program as well. But you don't talk to your professor the way you talk to a friend, but we practice professional email communication, speaking with your professor when it's appropriate to talk in class, raising your hand, things like that. It's great to go during office hours, but give them a heads up if you are going to go during office hours, because there is only a short amount of time that they have for these scheduled hours. And you want to make sure that you are able to schedule your time with them. You can also communicate with your professors through the inbox on Canvas. So there's like their email communication through the Canvas portal. Also mentioned email communication, but find out what their preference is for communication. Some prefer to talk after class. Some prefer to do during office hours, some during email. Find out. They will tell you in the syllabus first day what their preference is. I'm going to talk about disclosure of disability in just a second, but it is important for your professors to know that you use accommodations. And then I did mention earlier, but we send out a professor advocacy letter each semester to let them know that you are a part of Courage to Succeed, and that you have sent your accommodations, and that you will be utilizing accommodations throughout the semester. So disclosure to college and professors. Ultimately, it's your decision on what, if anything, you want to disclose to the college about your disability. The important thing is you should advocate your needs. You can do this without stating your disability. So you can say, I work best if I have a note taker. I work best if I record lectures so that I can listen to them later. So you don't have to say, I have a processing disability. You can state your needs without stating your disability. So I strongly encourage all of our students to advocate your needs to each professor that you have. So another piece of college, and then we talked about socialization, is communicating with your fellow students. So I talked about it's exciting to be with people that are in classes on in similar topics that you like. So look for people that are in similar life stages. So you might see somebody that's right out of high school and they don't really know what they want to study yet. You can strike up a conversation with them and explore what they're thinking and maybe go try out a club together. This is a time to meet new people. I will say personally, some of my best friends now are friends that I met in college. So everybody's kind of learning who they are and in this really cool stage of your life. There's various areas on campus where people are more social. So, for example, I'm going to say at Reynolds, they have a commons area that they've actually newly renovated. That's a lot of people hang out. There's tables there, there's vending machines. If you want to meet people, there are a lot of people there to go chat with. But most importantly, it takes time. So be patient. Don't expect to go in and meet 10 friends your first day. So navigating college, there's going to be a lot of people that are in the same boat as you. They're going to also be intimidated by being in a new environment. Everybody, the time wears off a little bit. So be patient and you will find your people. Another good way to do this is getting involved with student life. I mentioned earlier, if you are interested in any clubs or groups on campus, there is a Office of Student Life at the colleges. And if you wanted to join a club, Emma or myself are more than happy to help you get involved in that. A lot of them do field trips, clubs and organizations. They do service projects. There's intramural sports, meaning club sports. And it's just in educational events all the time. I will say another cool thing that they do is food trucks on Wednesdays at Reynolds. So that's a nice perk for me when I'm on campus. I know that was quick, but is our program in a nutshell and the supports that we offer. And navigating college can be tricky, but it's an exciting phase in your life, and we would love to support you in it. So please reach out if you have any questions right now. I'd love to answer them.
Thank you so much, Kelly. This is great
Absolutely.
to see. And these are excellent tips that we work on preparing folks when they are here. And then I also know that we've had some students who have come over and really benefited from those as well.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of questions to follow up
Sure.
on. I know that sometimes when families are talking to us about possible educational outcomes, one of the things that I find families are asking themselves is, how do I know whether or not the young person in my family is ready for college? Do we look at a four-year institution? Are we looking at full-time at a community college? Are we looking at part-time at a community college? How do I assess the readiness of the young person in my life? I think this is a brilliant question on their part because college
Mm-hmm.
has changed a lot. I mean, depending
Yeah.
on the person who's asking the question, it could have changed quite a bit. And
Mm-hmm.
specifically community college, I think all over and definitely in this state has changed a lot. Can you speak a little
Mm-hmm.
bit to how people can assess readiness in that way?
I would say first things first is visit lots of different places to see what the student is interested in. They think they want to go to a four-year college and get there and they're like, wow, this is huge and this is overwhelming, but you don't know until you visit it. I will also, because most of our students are affiliated with the community college, I cannot speak better for the community colleges that we have here in the state of Virginia. There is guaranteed transfer for the Virginia community colleges for many state schools. So once you've received an associate's degree through the community college, there's guaranteed transfer, I know, to VCU and to so many other four-year colleges. And you save a lot of money doing community colleges in comparison to a four-year college. So I would say talk to the school, visit, talk to your student and see what they feel like they could manage. And I'm more than happy to connect with any of you at any time too, to see what's been working for them in college. In high school, and see if that's something that is, doable at the four-year college level, or if that's something that we probably should start at the community college level.
I know a follow-up question sometimes to that is we have a lot of folks here who find their way to Northstar because they have some pretty specific and individualized health needs. And one of the questions that we explore while they're here is how do I address my health needs, especially if they can be potentially dangerous, right? On a large campus outside of a school setting that's designed like a K-12 school setting with a little bit more kind of in one
Mhm.
building care. Can you speak a little bit about how people with intensive medical needs navigate a college campus?
So I would say always start with the disability services office. I don't, like I said, I don't work for the college, but a lot of times there are accommodations that are put in place for these, they have procedures that are put in place for medical needs. So I would say definitely speak with the accommodations office to see what their procedures are, um, and whether that's, you know, I don't know if they have like a go-to person if something's going on, but I know like Reynolds has police officers on campus, medical staff, if we need to call an ambulance and things like that. But letting the professor know that these are some signs that if something I'm about to have a medical emergency, you know, and then they can contact the necessary parties involved.
That is really great information. Another aspect of community colleges that I know we spend a lot of time sharing with our students, being a career and technical education program, is all of these wonderful programs that can either be degree seeking or can be certificate seeking.
Hmm.
And I know Reynolds specifically has several, so does Brightpoint. I know Reynolds has a phenomenal automotive program that's in the tent
Hmm.
out back. That's really
Yes.
cool where students work while they learn how to work on cars. And there are several others through Reynolds as well. Can you talk a little bit about how this does or could work for a student who's enrolled in more of a technical training program and how you may support them, whether they're pursuing the degree seeking piece or the certificate
Mhm.
piece?
So yeah, we do have students in both realms. I will say the biggest barrier or obstacle would be the scheduling piece. So a lot of the vocational programs are, different schedules than we would have for the classroom portion. So it would be conversations and scheduling that out. I've had a student in the welding program that's kind of faded a little bit, but we still worked with them. Our structure for our meetings with them was a little bit different. They may not have been able to participate full days in our Tuesday, Thursday group programming, but we worked around it to see what would work best for them. I will speak, I guess, in addition to that, didn't say this in my presentation, but we do offer part-time and full-time participation encouraged to succeed. So the full-time is all of the programming, academic supports and the groups that we offer on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then the part-time would be either or. So either academic supports while they're attending the college or the groups. So if someone's in a vocational program, they might just do the academic supports, and then our meetings with them and meetings with professors would just be kind of catered to their schedule.
That's great information. I know in the past, sometimes students have started out getting, participating more fully encouraged to succeed, and then maybe
Mm-hmm.
transitioning to part-time, and then maybe just touching base as they move forward. And then I get a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful email a couple years, 3 years, 4 years down the road, inviting me to graduation, which is my favorite thing ever. Can
Yes.
you talk a little
Yes.
bit about how journeys through college and your program may vary depending on the family and the student need?
Absolutely. We are very individualized. So, starting from the beginning, we encourage students to take one or two classes in our programming. So, they're kind of getting their feet wet, they're learning what the college amount of coursework they can handle, and then they're trying out semester to semester what they can handle and what works best for them. Additionally, we encourage everyone to participate full time, but we know that many students only need academic supports or only need the group supports. So they have that option. But we love to see when our students wean off our services. So I have many students that have stuck full time all the way through, and that works for them, and that's great. But I have many that have started full time, went to part time, went to very part time. Unfortunately, the tuition doesn't change. There's only a part time option, but they only need academic supports and only check in a certain amount of times a week. And then they may be continuing college or their job on their own after that. And that is the biggest success that we love to see. And we're, rooting the students on all the way. And, you know, the biggest problem to have is not a low enrollment due to people weaning off our services. So that's a great question. And I'm right there with you, Holly. I love to be there at graduation. I'm sitting there crying just as much as their parents seeing them walk across the stage.
Yeah, it is really exciting. I love getting those invitations, and sometimes we have to duke it out here to see who from
Yes.
Northstar can take the day off without shutting
That's
down the
right.
school, so we can go see our Northstar alum walk across the stage at
Yes.
Reynolds. Can you talk a little bit about funding? Because of course, money is going to be on everyone's mind. Our Northstar
Absolutely.
students and many students from other schools work with GRASP, the Greater Richmond
Mhm.
Area Scholarship Program, to learn about financial aid. Um, and I know that in the past you have had a relationship with DARS. If you could give us an update on what the status is there. So looking at both funding opportunities for college and
Mhm.
also how does funding work for your program?
Absolutely. So I say loosely, we are an out of pocket program. We're about $5,000 a semester. However, we do accept outside scholarships. We are an approved DARS vendor now. So for pre-ETS vending, we are approved as of last year. Still working out the kinks and getting all that worked out, but we should be up and ready, running for the fall for those that qualify. And then we have our Shine Forth Scholarship. So anyone that's been a part of any Shine Forth UMFS programming for 6 months is eligible, and we encourage all of our students to participate in this. So you apply, and it's a couple of $1,000s for the year to help with this. So my dream one day is to have a sliding scale, and nobody has to pay for the programming. But we are a nonprofit, and the money, I can see the successes in the students that are part of it, but like you mentioned, DARS, I'm thinking that's going to be a big part and a big help. So if you are interested in exploring that, I would just start with your DARS counselor to say, Courage to Succeed is on my radar. What can we do to see if my student qualifies for pre-ETS services with Courage to Succeed?
Yes, thank you. Okay, that's a great thing to know. For those
Yes.
of us who are joining us from outside of Virginia, DARS is the Department of Aging and Rehab Services. That's what we call it here in Virginia. In other states, it's often just called the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation. And PREET stands for Pre-Employment Transition Services. Many of you are aware that these are designed for services who are students, and sometimes when you're talking to me or people in the high school realm, you might receive the message that that's while folks are students in high school, but that also applies to college students. So a lot of times students will open up a case under vocational rehabilitation, which is the adult portion of the services, but pre-ETS will continue to be a facet of their adult services. And so there is that funding stream available. And again, that varies dramatically from case to case. And I'm not going to speak out of turn. That is a question for your DARS counselor.
Yes.
To sit down and have a meeting with them and think about whether or not support during a college education could be helpful. I'm learning more and more about G3 scholarships, and now I'm putting you on the
Mhm.
spot because I'm not sure if that's part of your
Still learning too.
expertise or not. But G3 funding is a type of federal funding that's available
Mhm.
for training, specifically for training in areas where Virginia needs laborers with skills. So the Department of
Mhm.
Labor identifies certain areas where Virginia does not have enough workers, and then has a federal funding program, scholarship program may not be the correct term, but basically a way to get some financial support for that education, and it is income based. Kelly, can I put you on the spot and ask you to speak about that, or should we refer folks to the Department of Financial Aid to explore that
I
option?
I would say refer to financial aid. I will say I've had students use it, and the ones that I've used it, not saying that this is always the case. Basically, it covers all of their tuition for the community college in that specific vocational area. But don't quote me on that, and talk to financial aid.
Yeah, but I think not enough people know to ask about it. So I definitely
Absolutely.
would have put it out
Hmm.
there, especially if you're a family where you're not quite sure how funding for secondary education is going to work,
Hmm.
particularly if you're a family who's looking for a support program and also paying college tuition. There are a lot of expenses
Hmm.
that mount, and then transportation and all of those things. Please know that G3 funding is available, and I have found information about it on most of the community college
Hmm.
websites. There's also a statewide website. Um, for myself, going to the individual community college and looking at their website seems to have more current information.
Hmm.
Forgive me, webmaster of the state website, just trying to give people guidance. But that is a really excellent resource for folks to be aware of. All right. Those are all the questions that I had on my list. If anyone has any questions for Kelly or me, about Courage to Succeed and attending college specifically, you're welcome to drop them in the chat. Um, and thank you all for attending. I'll just give everyone a second just to see if we have anyone post a question. Oh, we have a question. Um, for students in independent living, this is a time when a lot of times students are attending college, but they're also perhaps getting a job for the first time. They might be driving and managing their schedule that varies for the first time. They might be trying out independent living either on their own or with a roommate for the first time. How much does Courage to Succeed wrap around all of those changes? Are you very academically focused, or can you talk a little bit about how you integrate your supports in terms of wraparound transition to young adulthood?
Sure. So we are very holistic. I say that also that if they have another case manager, say, for example, if they are working with what used to be Commonwealth Autism's adult programs, where they would be community support services that way, we connect with those services too to make sure that we are connecting them and offering all those supports. But part of our like counseling sessions, part of our groups are teaching these, but also making sure that they're implementing them in the community. So when they're speaking in their counseling sessions, they might be talking about some of these challenges, and we're putting goals in place, and we're planning how to navigate some of these different things that they're encountering, different independent living skills that they're this transition phase in their life. So we are helping a lot with that. We also communicate with families, so you're not just throwing them into our program and saying bye, but we're communicating with you, so we're all on the same page. We're working together. If they're living independently, we're going to have contact with the I don't know if they're at Phase-On. We're going to be working or talking with their counselors there to make sure that we're overlapping and supporting the student the best way possible. I hope that answered your question.
It does, and thank you, because it can be a lot. I think especially when people start to transition out, and
Hmm.
it can be a challenge to continue to juggle all the supports. I spoke with a parent just earlier this week who was talking about how now that his son had turned 18, mom and he were trying to fade back some supports. But
Hmm.
that meant that there's a learning curve, right? So there's some errors along the way. I think we've all experienced those as young adults.
Sure. Yep.
As we started to take on those responsibilities. Thank goodness we grew up before cell phones. Um, right?
Uh-huh.
And so that can be a bumpy learning curve, coordinating changes in health services,
Hmm.
academics. A lot of our students maybe have community wraparound services, whether it's a therapist or managing medications, and
Hmm.
then thinking about how to have more independent living, whether it's living as an adult in the home or living
Hmm.
in a different place. So those are all really important things to be able to juggle and to be in communication about.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that wraps up our session for tonight. Thank you so much again, Kelly, for a
Yes.
12th
Thank
year
y'all.
presentation. And I see your contact information is right there. Everyone will get an emailed version of Kelly's presentation. And if you are streaming this after the fact, you should be able to download it on our website. Please be sure to join us for the last two family education nights. The next one coming up is February 10th. Forgive me as I look at my other screen. We are looking forward to having Michelle Elliott who's a program coordinator for Hanover CSB. She's going to be talking about all different formats of independent living and different services, waiver funding that can allow a wide variety of supports as people transition to independent living, and the many different ways it can look different for different people. So different ways to access those different types of services. And then Kelsey Calder from GRTC, who is a travel trainer, will also be joining us to talk about transportation and all the different levels of transportation and transportation support services that are available. So I hope everyone will join. Thank you again and have a good evening.